This example of charisma, of proclamation, fits inside the umbrella of teaching, of didache, is because there's all sorts of teaching going on in that moment, in both directions. The members of St. Paul's K Street, the clergy and the lay people that were present on the street, were offering in an embodied form the teachings of the church. They were offering the tradition of the church to people in an accessible way.
Our little brochure was a call to a holy Lent, basically, and it had information about service times.
So it brought the vocabulary that we churchy people take for granted into the public domain, right? It brought the possibility of conversation, dialogue, relationship. It brought teaching out. But listen to what Kyle's saying about what the clergy and the lay people of St. Paul's K Street learned from the public about how powerful it was to get out of their building in the true form that they worship. So they learned about gender again. They learned about witnessing to the gospel proudly and confidently and not feeling foolish. Coming home and saying, that was cool. We want to do that again. I mean, the priest in charge was very nervous about doing this. He was committed, but he was scared. And he went home from what Kyle says, and he said, I'm going to do that again next year. That was worth every minute of it. So the teaching is mutual. It's not that we have all the answers and we are going to proclaim them and give them and serve them to the world. It's that in the act of teaching, we also are learning. So there's a mutuality about that that is part of the lifelong journey of faith that is so important. So moving on, let's tell another story from your diocese. From Anne in Kokomo. At age 50 in 1982, I thought I was a pretty mature Christian and had little to learn. And then came Curcio. The unbridled enthusiasm and expressions of love and the desire to share the word hit me like a bolt out of the blue. I found myself developing more skills and self-confidence in sharing my feelings and listening to the feelings of others. I discovered leadership qualities which I didn't know I had. So in the educational world, in the world of formal teaching and learning, where we use big words like pedagogy, we talk about experiential learning. We talk about learning in a context where it is a fully embodied process, where we participate in our learning. There are structured moments of lecture, perhaps, but there's also the engaged message that we learn non-verbally because of how people treat us. When I asked you to move your chairs at the very beginning, or have the option to move your chairs, that was the teacher in me saying, if they're not comfortable, they're going to have a really hard time enjoying the day. Their basic human needs are going to distract them from anything we might offer that could be of use. If you can't see the screen, it's not going to be a good day for you. Those are practical ways that your experience can actually obfuscate or block your learning. So this is a wonderful example that for some person, and many of us, an experience of summer camp, an experience of Curcio, a weekend renewal movement, an actual living the story of the 3 days of the Triduum, the 3 days of what we call the end of the Holy Week, the process from Maundy Thursday to the resurrection of Jesus on Easter Sunday. That process came alive for this person, for Anne. That process has come alive for others of us in different ways. But we need to think about what are the multiple ways the gospel can touch us and give people chances to experience them.
And if I might just add, I think too that the fact that this is a program, and it gave Anne obviously some resources where she could act on that desire to share the word. And so we always need to be thinking about, again, like we said this morning, it's not easy. We need practice. And so things like Curcio and so many of the things we're talking about give those resources for...
There's a curriculum for Curcio. If you've ever,
Yeah.
Retreats have a plan. There's an order. There's roles. There are jobs. There's a lot of work behind it. It's not just sort of throw it up in the air and let's try whatever happens. For some, that's too structured. For some, it's manipulative. Some people don't find that experience helpful. Others find it transformative. But we need to be open to the range of possibilities that allow people to experience the teaching of the church so that they claim it, own it, and then live it. And that's what this story shares.